Hello Virgo, thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for March. This month begins with the Sun and your ruler Mercury in the sign of Pisces, which opposes your sign, so it's your 7th solar house and very important as far as your relationships are concerned. But as the month begins, the Sun is aligning in the first 4 days with Neptune, the planet of dreams. Neptune has been in this location for some time, for some years, so you will have been used to hearing about this. Neptune is a magical influence. It's possible in a positive way that this has seen you make some connections with people over the last few years that have been very uplifting, artistic, creative, or even spiritual. In a romantic context, the 7th house is very important. It's all about the give and take of life. It's about cooperation. It's about meeting people in the middle. It's about partnership. With Neptune sitting next to the Sun, therefore, as this month begins, it's possible that you could meet someone or have some kind of connection, which is really quite exciting. But it's also important to understand the more distorting potential of Neptune, because it is the planet which is very much to do with mischief making when it comes to hard and fast facts, because it's shifting, it's like a gas. The reality around Neptune is always hard to really establish. So if there is someone you're encountering who tends to not answer your questions in a straightforward way, answer your emails or texts, and just generally seems to be a little bit cagey or hard to read, then take note that you need to protect yourself. And also Mercury in the sign of Pisces is in detriment. So your natural clarity can be diminuted just a little bit. So it is important to know where you stand. That's the essential thing. But there's another big conjunction as this month begins going on between Mars, the planet of power, of drive and determination, and Uranus, the planet of surprises. These two are combining in the first 4 days too, but in the case of Uranus, the opposition with Jupiter, which is rotating backwards, does continue. So Mars gets caught up in that just briefly, and it's going to be important at the start of this month that you don't promise more than you can realistically deliver, or you don't try to buy something that you can't realistically afford. Because when Mars and Jupiter get into an opposition, anything can seem possible, concerns can get put to one side, but of course you are a more discriminating zodiac sign, and one of the smartest of all the cookies. And therefore, don't let the hazy energy that's around the Sun and the uncomfortable location of your ruler Mercury influence your decision making when it comes to matters of expenditure, business, investment, risk-taking. Also be aware that Mars, which of course is the planet of sex, in opposition to Jupiter, but in conjunction to Uranus, could see you doing something really quite impulsively. How this comes about could create a huge amount of excitement. It may be that your eyes are going to meet with someone across a room and there's an instant connection. It's almost like a magnetic pull between you and they. That could be very exciting. But equally, remember that Mars and Uranus can be quite a random influence to the point that it can almost prise something apart. So if there is a union at some level, business, personal, friendship, there could be an argument over money or a difference of values, because Mars is not going to think too long about having an opinion when it's opposite Jupiter and combined with Uranus, but particularly in the sign of Aries. What can help, however, is that Venus, the planet of love, does continue in the sign of Aries too. Now, she is going to put the brakes on the 4th and go into a retrograde. This could deepen your understanding around a very close or intimate romantic relationship. It can help you to get more beneath the surface about what you really want and what the other person wants from you. But there is going to be a big shift which occurs on the 10th, because then Mars powers its way into your sister Earth sign of Taurus, which is wonderful. It's going to give you an appetite to be freer physically, be a bit more fluid in your movements. You can find yourself becoming a lot more active and adventurous in the following 6 weeks. But also, if there is a situation which you feel pinned into, where you feel anyone's trying to control you or suffocate you in some way, this can be a real pinch point, and you may decide to exit at that point almost straight away. If it doesn't happen straight away and you're still thinking about it and the politics are still evolving, it could happen that you'll seek your independence in the 6 weeks following. But then, of course, on the 11th we have the full moon, which is in your zodiac sign. But this full moon is supported by the abundant energies of Jupiter. And I just feel if you are discussing anything, and it is of a financial nature, it is important to still get that clarity, even though the Sun has moved beyond Neptune. Because if you cast your mind back to the 26th of February, that major solar eclipse happened, and that's going to be in operation right through to August. And therefore, if you are thinking about those financial matters and any kind of partnership or joint decision making is required, clarity is absolutely essential. But what's going to help you hugely is your ruler relocates on the 14th to really help you to get to the bottom of what's being said. When Mercury goes through the 8th house, it's not what people are telling us that counts, it's what they really mean. So the politics of any situation is going to be cleared up in a very positive way for you in the following weeks to come. The Sun is also going to relocate into the sign of Aries on the 20th. Now, of course, this is the start of the new astral year, which comes from the spring equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere, and of course the autumn equinox if you're in the south. But this is a point for us all in terms of the zodiac when we begin again. And for you, it is about the things that you're closely tied to or tethered to. But you're not going to want to be closely tethered to something that doesn't have any depth or meaning to it. And those meanings are going to be audited, if you like, for the rest of this month, especially on the back of the new moon, which occurs on the 28th. Your ruler Mercury also goes side by side with Uranus, for the last days of this month. And if you're someone who's quite entrepreneurial, don't be surprised if you have a major brainwave in those dying days. But Mars is also going to forge a fabulous influence with Neptune as this month closes. Neptune is such a beautiful influence. It rules photography, film. It's very much to do with spirituality, with healing, and in its most beautiful form can bring nothing but goodness. In its more distorted form, it can bring a lot of damage, flooding, disease, all sorts of not very pleasant things. So this angle with Mars is entirely positive because it just takes a little bit of the ego away from Mars and helps you to balance your interactions with others, seek out the truth through Mars in the 9th house, but also retain a gentle awareness to the needs of others. What an exciting month this is for you, Virgo. It's not going to be dull for a minute, but I do think you need to take care around relationships to be sure of your motives and anyone who's not really facing up to you in a very clear, recognisable way. That will give you confidence. If there's a lack of that, do get deeper into it to be sure of what you do. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye for now.